This dog used to be the invincible god of war. All the most formidable dogs in the city had to kneel at his feet, but today he will have to fight with another mysterious character, causing his title to be thrown away immediately. When he went out to the garage, he kept barking ferociously at the warehouse. Dom dreamed of the life inside that warehouse. Someone quickly went over there to check. As soon as Dahmer opened the door, he was hit by a huge black gas, huge and flying. When he got out, he couldn't see clearly what it was, but he had to carry his pants and run ahead. Ron decided to let his dog of war to solve that problem. This young man was very brave. The owner immediately turned his ass and ran towards the warehouse. After he got inside, the loud sound of fighting was immediately heard, but it didn't take a few seconds for the dog to scream, and then there was no more movement. Dom was extremely panicked. Was it the dog? It was that weird monster. At this time, the door was opened. Unexpectedly, the monster threw the dog head out. Doom was scared and quickly ran back to the house. He found a knife to protect himself. He was afraid that that monster will come out and boil me alive. At this time, the noise alarmed my grandfather. He angrily ran to ask what the hell Dahmer was doing. Alice used to be a soldier after Dahmer passed away. Grandma immediately took care of him. But Mr. Alice's temper was very hot. He always scolded and bashed Dahmer. He was not a benevolent person at all. Dahmer quickly told him that their dog had been bitten by Bane. Alice of course didn't believe this. In broad daylight like this, where would the monster come from? Dahmer was sure that the dog had really teased. Alice immediately whistled. The dog really didn't run to Dahmer, saying that thing was hiding somewhere. Their warehouse. Alice took the wooden stick and blank stick and walked towards the wooden house in the yard. He saw the dog head. Alice was so angry that he believed the Dahmer words and started scolding him, cursing at the things in the wooden house. He told the people inside to get out, but there was no movement. Alice wanted to inside the Dahmer herself and ran to stop him, but before he could open the door, before looking closely, he had after rushing inside, Alice realized that oh my god, it's really loud. Grandpa's pitiful cry came from the wooden house. Dahmer dreamed of opening the door. Mr. Alice was seriously injured and fell to the ground. He wanted to pull him. I went outside, but the monsters also pulled him. There was no other way. The Dahmer strength was not as good as the monster. Alice was pulled inside. At this moment, the Dahmer first thought suddenly flashed, and he quickly closed the door, used the fixed chain to see if Alice has no chance to go out anymore. The soup inside is leaking out. Dahmer is scared and quickly runs back to the house. He opens a can of beer and drinks it to calm the fear. He wants to call the police, but he suddenly saw the bail paper on the wall. Mr. Alice had bailed Dahmer out of prison when he was a teenager. If the police knew that he had cheated, then Dahmer would have to go to jail. It seemed like he couldn't report to the police. To solve this problem, Dahmer immediately used a wooden board to cover the entire wooden room to prevent monster from escaping. At night, Dahmer looked like he was possessed by a ghost. He went to the wooden room and shouted loudly. Alice heard from inside that Dahmer had harmed him. Then, he said he wanted to take his life. Dahmer was extremely scared. It turned out it was just a dream. The next day, Dahmer went to school when he saw his best friend being beaten by some guys. Other people bullied him, so he ran save his friend Dahmer, and the school boss didn't like each other. Dahmer dreamed of returning home. He decided to go see the monster in the wooden house. He held a bat to hit the ball and then went to the wooden house at hay. The door suddenly moved. This proves that the monster is still inside. The Dahmer is a bit scared. He walked to the door and stopped. He put his ear in to listen to the movement inside. A sudden crack sounded on his hand. The monster passed through the door and grabbed Dahmer's neck. He was extremely scared and tried to escape. He used both legs and arms on both sides to compare strength. But when the monster hand came into contact with light, then the monster started to smoke and immediately threw Dahmer to the ground and withdrew his body inside. Dahmer quickly left behind. At that moment, Mabo got there and was beaten by Pitt, so he was in a very bad mood. He called Dahmer to take revenge for him, but Dahmer told Mabo to calm down. Your matter is nothing. My matter is scarier than that wooden house of our house with monsters that know how to eat people. The dog had been eaten. But Mao didn't believe it and said that if there was a monster, would have caught it long ago. No one saw it. Dahmer immediately brought Marble near the wooden house. The monster suddenly appeared. The two of them were startled. Dahmer used an iron plate and a wooden stick to quickly repair that house. You also came to help them hammer in a total of 79 nails. In the end, the hole was fixed. Unexpectedly, I'm so happy again. Dom, this is cool. This is so the treasure that God gave us. This time I'm saved. Dahmer didn't understand what Mabo was talking about. Mabo immediately explained that we can use the monster, hey, to deal with those school bosses. Just trick them into coming here. But Dahmer don't agree with this method. This is murder. Brother, you're crazy. Why don't I want to go to jail? Dahmer mo saying you mustn't do that. Otherwise you won't be able to be saved. You reluctantly agreed. Dahmer dreamed that this monster was like a vampire, so he immediately watched movie about vampires and learned. One way to get rid of it is to use sunlight, 2 to pierce the heart with a wooden stick, 3 to out off its head. At night, Dahmer dreamed that the Roxy he liked had turned into a vampire. He suddenly woke up. It was morning. Dahmer decided, intending to try those methods to see if they worked. He climbed to the roof of the wooden house and picked up an electric drill to punch a hole. The sunlight shone down and the monster kept screaming. It seemed like the light really worked. Domer Emo finally, knowing what the monster was AF afraid of. He left more secure this time, but at this time, the police came to visit the house again. Recently, a farmer went missing. He had a grudge against Domer grandfather, so the police came, then investigate Domer. Look at the photo of the farmer. This is the monster in the wooden house. Domer said that his grandfather has gone out. The police said that the animal on the farm recently have been attacked by some creatures. Attack and be drained of blood if you detect something unusual. You must notify her. When Seraph left, she immediately discovered Ellis' stick thrown on the ground. She immediately realized something unusual. Seraph brought Domer over. Because he has a criminal record, Seraph hopes he will confess, but at the same time Domer doesn't say anything. Insulted Roxy as a used item. Domer heard that and was immediately angry. He beat the pet to the ground. He was stopped by the homeroom teacher. Seraph left that Domer had a very unusual dream. She immediately returned home to find his grandfather. She quickly discovered that the wooden house was locked. The door of the wooden house was moving, and inside there was a cry for help. Seraph was about to open the chain. At this time, Domer immediately ran back. He told her that there was a wonderful monster inside. Dunn opened the door, but Seraph thinks that Domer has locked his grandfather in there. She tells him to kneel down, otherwise she will open the gun. Seraph doesn't listen to Domer's explanation. This policewoman is really good towards the Domer and turned around to open the door. The monster had been hungry for several days in a row. When he saw the rice being brought to his mouth, he immediately rushed to bite the tip and opened fire, but failed. The shot hit her and was dragged into the room. This time, the police also hesitated. Then what should I do? Domer is very confused right now. He coming to take revenge. Who told you to beat me in front of so many people? I'll teach you a lesson. You'll never forget. Right now, Domer not in the mood to fighting. He said there were monsters, but Pit didn't hear Domer being beaten very miserably. At that moment a gunshot rang out. It turned out Ma Bo had picked up Seraph gun. He saw Pet here. It was God. Well, that was so good, Pet. When I saw Ma Bo, I said that a coward like you dared to open a gun and shoot me. Why did Ma Bo decisively shoot one shot? Trembling, I immediately felt afraid. He started to repent and admit his mistakes. I won't bully you anymore. I won't bully you anymore. Pit entered the wooden house. Pit agreed as long as he didn't himself. But when Pit saw the Seraph arm on the ground, he was also scared inside. What was it? Ma O used a gun to force him inside and then shouted. Pit pitiful scream immediately rang out. Domer felt that Mabwa had gone crazy. The two of them started arguing. Mabwa punched and knocked Domer unconscious. When Domer woke up, he found Roxy next to door of the wooden house. Domer opened the door holding a stick, went inside to check. He discovered that Pit had gone crazy, but he didn't expect that he had also turned into a blood-sucking monster. He said to Domer, I thought you could protect me, but when you're not around, I miss you every day. I was bullied and now am finally stranger than you. It turned out that the demon willingly let the monster bit him so that he could become a monster himself. The demon was very hungry and thirsty at this time. He rushed towards Domer direction, but only a moment later, Domer then, he used a wooden stick to stab the ghost Ma Bo heart, causing him to burn under the sunlight. Just like that, he died right on the spot, but the farmer monster didn't know where he had gone. Domer explained to Roxy. All two of them started to fix the room. Then monster was definitely nearby. The sun went down the mountain. Night fell. The farmer monster started to act. Oh, went to the Domer house, find him, he became a dessert. Monster mouth. The monster intelligence is also very high. It enter the house through the mezzanine on the roof. The monster starts to attack Roxy. Domer finds me. Ellis gun here. He will quiz everyone that this is a gun. Everyone, please leave your answer in the comment. Domer went to save Roxy, but the gun in his hand didn't work. The monster speed was very fast. They fought head to head. Roxy lighted the gun, shot the monster head, but the monster defense was so strong that it was unharmed. Domer used his knife to stab a few times, but the monster easily dodged. Unexpectedly, he hit Roxy. The monsters attacked Domer and dreamed of Roxy. Seizing the right opportunity, she picked up the axe and stabbed it once. She cut off the monster head. When the fight ended, it turned out that Roxy was the last Domer insect, just a shrimp. The two of them dragged the body to the wooden house. They used a fire to set the whole room on fire. They spent the night in the car. They were about to drive, but there was movement behind the trunk. Looks like the monster appeared again. Okay, here comes today movie. Hello, and see you soon, again in the next movie. Bye bye.